Hiya, hiya. It's Joey Reynolds. Time for the truth. Truth is that I just did the most wonderful, greatest explanation of this society I've ever done in my life, but I forgot to push the record button. So it became a rehearsal, and now I can't. I'm an ad-libber. I can't redo what I just did. I can't even remember what I just did. I've got early climber's disease. By the time the thought climbs to the top of my mind, it's erased. That's from broadcasting, and believe me, I have milk of amnesia. I forget all of these people who have really done good things for me. I'm like everybody else in the world. And I've got to have gratitude. You have gratitude. Gratitude comes from being grateful. If you say, yeah, here I am. Look at me. I'm healthy. I'm alive. And I've outlived most of my enemies. So now I'm working on my friends. Get out of the way here. My sister from Buffalo, the land of God's frozen people, has asked me to will my body and my mind and everything to science, because if they take that, they take care of all the burial issues, and you don't burden the family. I'm going to burden the family. I don't need a mausoleum, but I want to be buried in a Tupperware coffin, and so they keep me fresh, and I want to be multi-leveled, like Walt Disney. I've talked about this before. He's in cryogenics, where they froze him, and he's going to be thawed out, and then he's going to want to go back to sleep again after he sees what they've done. What did you do? What, you made Snow White black? What, are you kidding me? And you have 12 dwarfs? Why would you do this? Hey, listen, it's all changed. Speaking of color, I was raised on North Division Street in Buffalo. It was the last white family. It was an old Italian neighborhood, became very dark it was not even a mixture of Latinos. It was actually a black neighborhood. And so essentially I was raised in a black neighborhood, and we were the last of the families there, I think, as I recall. And we didn't have any money. We were poor. We had a $30 a month cold water flat, they used to call it. And we had a good, I was happy, I thought. Then when I look back, I said, I wasn't that happy. What did I do? And the black kids, because I was the only white one on the baseball team, and I was fat, I became the third base. That's the reverse of what we think is racism. Listen, I've had a lot of experience with color in my life. In show business, we really, as you have heard many times, we respect talent primarily. But I think it's more about money now than it is anything. I don't think it's about talent. I think we've come to a place of mediocrity. I was watching Oprah last night with Adele, and Adele does not tell her son that she's Adele. I mean, what is that? You don't tell your son that you're famous and that you are a big show-off singer. If you don't want to be that, and you don't want to tell your kids about your fame, then sing in the shower. Don't go tell anybody. And Oprah, who continues to interview all these people, in a saintly fashion. I mean, everybody knows she's got a beard. And, this is a really interesting time in history for the truth. Nobody wants to tell the truth exactly. And Jack Nicholson in that movie, you don't want to know the truth, you can't handle it. You can handle it now, because everything's on the table. This is because we hit a bottom. And I'm an alcoholic, and when you hit a bottom, that's when you get sober, or begin to get sober if you are lucky. And luck is a blessing to me. I don't know when they call it luck; it's a blessing. But when you come up from the bottom, you're stronger, of course, but you also are wiser and able to pass it on to someone else out of gratitude. There we go with that gratefulness. See, that's where it comes from. And it's serving other people that makes us feel good, because we're based on love, like the Beatles. And let me tell you about that. Here's that hoax. Now, Peter Jackson is a very fine motion picture director, lives in New Zealand, found the tapes of the Beatles from 60 years ago. These are not new tapes. If you go to Las Vegas and watch the Cirque du Soleil, which is the troupe out of Montreal, Canada, that does all the acrobatics, they have done a show that's called Love, the Beatles. And it's at the... I think it's still over at Steve Wynn's hotel. Which one is it? The one of his hotels. Anyway, it's on the Strip in Las Vegas, and the Mirage. That's where it is. So the Love show by the Beatles was put together by Cirque du Soleil carefully with George Martin, who was the particularly gifted arranger and producer of the Beatles sessions, with Yoko, who is the object sometimes of being blamed for the breakup, which is not true, I don't think. And then you had George Harrison was still with us, and Ringo, and Paul. Everybody was there except John, and they all loved the show, and they sanctioned and signed off on it. Now, in that show is the footage that you are going to see in this movie that Peter Jackson did, where they do the recording sessions. And of course, playing on the roof, they don't show that necessarily in this Cirque du Soleil, but that's been going around on the internet, where they went upstairs and on the roof of Abbey Road and they started to jam in their last performance. And then they all talk about the story about George Harrison leaving quietly. He said, "Yeah, I'm not here anymore, goodbye," and he walked out. So that's it. Now, you don't have to see a series of 8 movies. I don't know how many of these things are going to stretch it. Is it on Netflix? They use Hamburger Helper. So I think that you got to know that this is not new. It's not new footage, but it also is the presentation of it and the release to the public is not new. This stuff has been seen. It's seen in that show. But they're acting like these are the secret hidden tapes because it's marketing. See, I'm a radio and television host. Now, I've been that most of my life, except when I did the marketing off campus, and I've done other things besides be on the air. Now, when you're on the air and people listen to you and watch you, you're famous. There's a difference between being a celebrity and a star. Now, I was a tin soldier, as Sid Bernstein, who brought the Beatles here, incidentally, one of my best friends, he told me that a long time ago. He says, "You are Mr. New York. You're a tin soldier like the rest of us." What we've done is we've stood next to people who have great talent. And we've either booked them, as Sid did, or promoted them, as I have. And 15 years of being on the air every night, for instance, in New York, with no phones and really absolutely no politics, essentially. And I had everybody on the air. Now, I was a celebrity, but I'm not a star. Although Angelo Di Pippio, the director of music for The Godfather and also a good friend, he's wonderful, he said that I was a star. Well, in his mind, I may be a star. I'm not a star. I'm a half moon, I said. Regis Philbin, Johnny Carson, Letterman, even Oprah, all of us guys are just pimps. We've sold our souls to the talents of America and the world. We get on the air and we hang out with these people and we interview them, talk to them, know a little bit about them or nothing at all, and learn about them, and we share with you. My relationship is with the audience, it's not with the star next to me, and they're not stars, they're celebrities. A star is someone that's unreachable, like in the Man of La Mancha, the song that comes from that great Broadway musical. I don't know if you're familiar with those things. To dream the impossible dream, to reach the unreachable star. And that's what a star is, unreachable. Like someone who's still a star right now. It's not George Clooney, because he's a personality, he's a celebrity. Been in a lot of movies, but he's selling coffee makers on television. And what's happening with, let's see, who's in the Blue Bloods? He's selling reverse mortgages. Tom Selleck. This is not a star, he's a celebrity. A star, when I used to go to the Friars Club and I'd go to lunch, and I was privileged enough to be brought there in the earlier days, they even had agents used to hang around and phones were brought to the table. Of course, nobody needs to do that anymore. And so we had famous people. Some were celebrities, but some were stars. You couldn't get near some of them because they were so untouchable. And the reason is because they lived exemplary lives. I would say Barbra Streisand's a star, wouldn't you say that? Elvis is a star. The Beatles are stars, even although a lot of the luster's worn off on all of us. But some of them they were unreachable at one time, and when they were unreachable, they're a star. But when they come down to earth, then they're a fallen star. There's a burnout factor here. And that's not very pleasant. It's even a fallen celebrity. Hey, listen, I fell from grace, but I don't think I ever met grace. Who is grace anyway? So this is a different kind of world we live in now. It's all about money. capital gains. You see where everything's gone up, all the prices gone up for gasoline, and we're coming up on a holiday of Thanksgiving of travel, so what do? Jack up the prices. Why do they do that? To make money. Who makes the money? Stockholders. Why? Because they're investors. And that's what this country has become. It's a country of investors. And so I guess the president at this time in history, he wants to make this whole thing more equitable, meaning that we're going to all have to go to work and repair some of the damage we've done to the planet, which is a good idea, except a lot of people don't want to work. And when the foreigners want to come here, those who don't belong here because they're not signed in, that's a foreigner. Some came by boat. Even the Cubans, incidentally, we made a great city out of Miami. I was there in 1960, worked at Whammy in Miami, and they loaded up and came into the Biscayne Bay and came in front of the Columbus statue on Biscayne Boulevard, and I was in the Chamber of Commerce building. I was there for all of this stuff, and I saw them come in here and see this dreary, old, dying, decaying city of Miami turn into magic. The Cubans have done a great job with it, and today is their day, incidentally, where they have a Freedom Day. The Cubans here in this country are aligning themselves with the Cubans in Cuba who are fighting to have freedom right now. They're not fighting with weapons. They are protesting. It's a protest day, and they're all trying to be very careful about this because everybody wants to make money. You can't make money when you destroy the city because there's no place to go. And that's one of the big lessons about taking over a country. You destroyed the economy. And I think I heard this, the reason why we went to Iraq is not it wasn't the weapons of mass destruction. It was that Saddam Hussein was going to shift to the American dollars. He was going to shift from that to the euro. And we don't want that to happen. Even Iran uses the American dollars. That's the respected currency. And they found billions of dollars in that home of one of the residences of Saddam Hussein. They say there was tons of American money. And what is he going to do with it? Come over here and spend it, of course, like we're going to do. So why is the turkey so expensive now? Nobody finishes it anyway. I mean, buy half a turkey. Buy a leg. Split it with another family. And the price of meat is outrageous. Why? They're saying because of the shipping. You saw 60 Minutes. The shipping is held up because the shipping companies, if they hold it up, they make more money because they are charging storage, and they also have another shipment that they can bring in here because it's so ill planned. So it's money always. Follow the trail. And the people who used to complain about all this, we don't have anymore in our society, including David Horowitz, who's a small player, but we've had people who were in the government that were on the side of consumerism, and we kind of quieted them down. Probably gave them a lot of stock. So see, even Disney, that's all about stock. It's about investments. And if Walt, who was frozen, comes back to life after they thaw him out, he's going to kick ass. See what they've done with his dream. They turned it into a nightmare. What do you mean Snow White's going to be black? What are you talking about? There's 12 of these dwarfs now? What, so that you can accommodate the different sexes and ethnic persuasion and make everybody even? If everybody's even, we'd all get bored to death. I would be so bored. I don't want to be like you, and I don't want you to be like me. I'm not trying to make you me, and I hope you're not trying to make me you. I want to spread my love and spread my individual talent. I want to be able to have freedom with it, freedom of choice. I'm more conservative than I'm given the credit for, but less of a. I think they ought to put a rope up Trump's ass and float him on that Macy's Day Parade, and just say goodbye. Deflate him somewhere on Fifth Avenue. So hey, listen, why do I say that? That's not Republican or Democrat. I think because the guy screwed up, and we would all be vaccinated a lot earlier. I think maybe, but that January 6th thing, that's a staging of a protest. It got way overdone, and a lot of people suffered. But I think also the people in the Congress and the Senate I have to realize that it's not about the buildings being destroyed, because what's destroyed in that White House and on the Capitol grounds, what's really destroyed is not from the tanks and the people with weapons, but rather the termites. The termites are eating at the very fabric of the country. That's where you got to watch it, because they're the ones that destroy the foundation of a house. Simply put, that's my analogy. So I'm going to get out of here now. I've talked too much, but you know, that's me, the man who talked too much. I just want to say that, you know, you gotta start talking a little differently to each other. We got to all sit at the same table and figure it out. And if we can't all sit at the same table, this is going to be a pretty bleak Christmas. I think we ought to really start to sit down with each other. I said that already twice, didn't I? It's third time, and it's a charm. That's what they say. How superstitious. It's a Reynolds wrap.